Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I have with me Adam Keifer, co-founder and CEO at Talage. Adam, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
Good, Tony. Thanks for having me, man. Excited to be on the show and excited to talk a little bit about Talage and our story and kind of where we've been and where we're going.
Awesome. So I met Adam at InsurTech Connect last year, which was a hike for me. From Atlanta, but not far from you in Reno. And the reason I bring up that you're in Reno is because there's not a ton of insurance out there, right? There's a good amount of insurtechs in the Bay, but there's not a lot of traditional insurance out in the West. So it's good to have some representation on the West and Mountain states. So we always give the guest the chance to give kind of the elevator pitch. So what is Talage?
Yeah, so Talage is a complete digital distribution platform. So we integrate directly into carriers' APIs, whether it's quoting, binding, kind of whatever's available at the individual carrier level. It's all small commercial P&C is really where we focus so far, and then we standardize and aggregate those APIs. We have a headless API experience, if you will, where you can tap into that, integrate one time and get all of our 20 plus carriers that are on our platform. We've also built what we call our wheelhouse platform that lives on top of our API. And that's really kind of a turnkey experience for agencies and brokers, where they can have that user experience built on top of the APIs and really in a matter of days can be up and running with a digital experience, either internally or externally for their customers. All powered by that network of APIs.
Okay, so there was a lot there. There was a lot there. Okay, so
it's all a piece of cake. We it took about 10 minutes for us to put the whole thing together, right?
And now you're just raking it in.
Yeah, people just begging on the door trying to get on the platform.
And I'm sure the easiest part after putting together the platform was getting the carriers on it. So let's start with the carriers because I always go on the assumption that the carrier executives that listen to it drop out before the broker executives. So let's start with the carriers. Okay, so if I'm a carrier and I have a small commercial product, right, which most commercial carriers do, right? I probably have a platform that we built internally that I want the brokers to use.
Yep.
Right. But unfortunately for the brokers, small commercial is not super profitable. Right. It's hard to do it well. So last thing I want to do is quote on 6, 7, 10 different carrier platforms that are different from each other, and where I need to re-enter the data over and over and over. Right. Yep. So if I'm a small commercial carrier, I probably know that. Why should I partner with Talage so that I can be on the platform along with the 20 others that are already there?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm glad. I mean, when you just kind of say the carriers go first, I mean, the carriers are first in everything, right? I mean, we don't have a product, we don't have a platform if it's not for the carriers, right? Like, so when we view our customers and our stakeholders, we definitely start with the carriers, right? Everything happens there. If we can build the greatest platform on the planet, and if there's no carriers on it, it doesn't do anything, right? So love that kind of line. It starts with the carriers. So it absolutely does for us. And kind of what you described, kind of that single entry multi-quote process, right? Is the concept, at least, has been around for a long time. There's others in the space that are doing it. I think that's the pitch from the agency side. But when you look at kind of why a carrier should care about what we're doing at Talage, is really, the comparative rating experience it's just a small component of what we do, really. And that's why we kind of call ourselves a digital distribution platform, because we do it from the carrier's perspective. And so we can integrate into your API, whether it's a quoting API, whatever it is, say it's a workers' comp quoting API. We can integrate into that. We can standardize that against other carriers so that other insurtechs, other agencies can have access to that quicker and easier. So you're not having to integrate multiple times. You're not having to set aside resources for you to integrate into all those guys. Probably the bigger picture long term is now you don't have to maintain that, right? You have one maintenance point with Talage. You don't have to, talk to 1,000 different API partners to change a question set or change a code set, things like that. And so Saves a lot of time and resources on the front end, kind of getting more partners on the platform. But in the longer term, I mean, the maintenance may be even a bigger savings. And then really, when you kind of get into complete distribution solution, which we believe we are, or at least maybe the most complete solution, once you're on our platform, you can really do anything. So we've got carriers that are using our white labeled solution to target payroll partners. We've got them that are targeting financial institutions, credit card companies, things like that, where we can give them a user experience in a matter of days, and for less than $1 million a page. We can spin those up quickly and in an efficient way so that they can actually test programs out and get things to market quicker. And as we know, I mean, it's all about speed to market and being as many places as possible. And the Talage platform really allows a carrier of any size to be able to have a broader reach in a way more efficient way than was possible without us.
Okay, so a very flexible and very fast way to get a small commercial product out to market digitally with a single API integration.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, through our, you integrate one time on the Talage platform, we can access independent agencies that are on our platform, right? Like, so you immediately have access to that network of agencies that's growing every month. We've got wholesale brokers that are on our platform, so you can distribute through the wholesale channel. And then again, you can take our white label solution and you can push it out through whatever distribution strategies you have. And so there really is, I don't believe any other solution that's as complete to kind of hit those three different kind of segments in the market through one point without having to do additional dev work or integration time or anything like that. It all just runs through one single place.
Okay, perfect.
And obviously, from a carrier's perspective, they get the ability to see what's happening, right? And so that's kind of the front end distribution side. But then on the back end, they have access to those analytics and the data that's running through that platform that's really never existed before.
Yeah, which is super valuable for them. Makes sense. Okay, so from the perspective of the brokers, so if I'm a broker, my focus is probably not small commercial. It's either personal lines, and some of those people own businesses, and some businesses just my marketing works and then they end up coming to us. Or I'm focused on middle market, and again, kind of my net grab some small commercial, whether because it's owned by the same people that I'm doing middle market business for or whatever. And historically, it's just never been profitable for me. So how can Talage help for me as a broker?
Yeah, and that's obviously exactly what we see, right? Like when you're on the market, you're seeing exactly your point, right? Like they're working on personalized stuff and commercial things like kind of come in, or they've got bigger mid-market accounts, and either they own something or worse, like it's the cousin of the owner's like wife, right? Like then they got to like drop everything they're doing to handle.
My favorite one is my son has a small business, or my daughter, right? So right there, they're going to expect the treatment that's been getting, but it's going to be a $500 a year account.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So now the son's, you got the father with the, multi-million-dollar construction account, and the son with his mobile dog washing truck or whatever it is.
Exactly.
And so Talage is really built to kind of handle that. And it's through our Wheelhouse platform. And so Wheelhouse is kind of our turnkey solution. It's fully customizable for the agencies. So they can customize the text, the language, the pictures, the colors, everything. Like we really kind of become invisible in the transaction. And we give them both internal tools. So their agency, if they've got, producers or CSRs, account managers, they can enter, back to kind of that point we talked about earlier, that kind of single entry multi-quote process. They can put it in, they can quote multiple lines of coverage across multiple carriers through one experience, obviously saving a ton of time, just having to log into 5 or 6 different platforms. And then our system, which is very unique in the market, actually has the ability to kind of push it to the business owner too. And so we've got what we call our storefronts that an agent can set up as many of these as they want. They can have customized ones for their agency, for their geography, for their industry, whatever they want to do. They can push those out directly to the business owner, so that business owner can have that online shopping experience that you get with some of the bigger insurtech players, but do it in a way that even a one-man insurance operation can deliver that experience, right? But have that agent behind it, which is what we're most excited about on that front.
Okay. So it doesn't replace the agency management system, right? It's for the marketing piece, for the distribution piece. So it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like a white labeled, great way to distribute digitally and that's one of the big problems that the independent agents have. If you represent multiple carriers, it's very hard to give your client a digital experience.
Totally. And I mean, I know we'll kind of get into my story, but so I've been an agent for 20 years, right? So I've been on the street of,
okay, perfect.
Small commercial policies. And so really, the core ideas for Talage really came from my experience. The tools we built originally, were very selfish tools that like I wanted to have when I was an agent. And so, we've tried to replicate that multiple carrier solution, because an independent agency, one of their core values, besides obviously understanding the policies and understanding the risk and all those things, is the ability to offer multiple quotes from multiple carriers, right? To be able to canvas the market like that. And so I think, the Talage platform is not looking to, very, definitively, we want to plant our flag that we're not looking to disintermediate the agency. If anything, we want to, put them in and lock them in for the long haul, in terms of we can give independent agencies the digital experience, or their customers the digital experience that they want, and that we've all come to expect from whatever, right? We're all looking for at least a digital shopping experience. And what we're finding is people want to, in insurance at least anyway, and I think, you'll look at some of the publicly traded insurtechs, I think that the acquisition costs, and people are looking to shop digitally. I don't know that they're looking to buy digitally yet, right? Like they want to have the experience of shopping, but they want to know that an agent is there behind it at the end of the day. And that's where I think the Talage platform is really unique, where you can kind of have this seamless experience of, I can shop at my own pace, I can compare at my own pace, I can do my research on the carriers that are being presented to me, and then an agent is going to confirm that for me and actually bind the policy and actually go forward with it, right? Like, so I have an agency at the end of the day. If something goes wrong with a claim, I know Tony's going to pick up the phone, right? And so that's, I think, what's unique about our platform, is that we can really kind of enable that agency channel and do it, in conjunction with the carriers. And I think, not to be too cliche, but I think the way we built our platform, we can help the carriers distribute. We can bring the agencies up to kind of the 21st century in terms of the experience that their policyholders are looking for. And we can deliver that to the policyholders, really not while cutting anybody out or hurting anybody along the way. We can really kind of enhance the experience at all three different levels of the transaction.
I've said it before that I am very biased in favor of insurtechs founded by insurance people. Right, not a tech toy looking for a insurance nail to tech hammer looking for an insurance nail to hammer, but rather like you saw a problem, you lived it. And I love the several things here. I love that you had the agent experience, and then you were a sales manager, a territory manager, or what the agents call a marketing rep, right, at the carrier. So you saw, okay, this is what it's like to sell the stuff and to service it. This is what it's like for the carriers to distribute it to the agents, and the difficulties that they have. And then after you opened Talage, I love that you went through broker tech.
Yeah.
So yeah, for those that don't listen to the podcast often, broker tech is an incubator owned by brokers out of Iowa. So they're investing in accelerating the ideas that them as brokers believe it's actually going to be helpful for the industry. But how was the experience going through broker tech, by the way?
Broker tech was fantastic. We went in our broker tech program started in March of 2020. And so obviously, like, we get to Des Moines and the world falls apart, right? And so in terms of the actual experience, it was definitely, but in a lot of ways, I think it was fantastic, right? Because we were also the first cohort of broker tech. So they were kind of learning as they were going. We as company members of the group, and there was a decent spread there in terms of, I think at the time we had, maybe 10 employees, something like that, and had raised a little bit of money, and then you had guys that were, very, very early in kind of their journey. And so you kind of had a spread of where companies were along their timelines. And then COVID hits and everything kind of blows up. But it was kind of one of these experiences where, like, we were all bought in, we're all in it together. And so we all kind of learned the virtual thing together. And I think in a lot of ways, the virtual thing actually helped because, we didn't have to actually go to all those brokers' offices, which was nice. And, saved on the airline miles that way. We didn't have to, log so many miles. But it was fantastic. I mean, we got feedback from agencies in a way that we'd never, I can't say never, but it would have taken years for us to get otherwise, right? And so, even big brokerages who we had no business working with, because they focus on kind of enterprise level customers, they're talking about our small business product. And some of the most valuable feedback, basically they're like, we don't write any accounts under $100,000 in revenue. And it's like, okay, well, we don't write any accounts over $5,000 in premium. So like, this isn't, there's no fit here, right, whatsoever. But like, we got feedback from them that was fantastic. And so I think just the experience of that was, can't speak highly enough of the broker tech experience and the agency members of it. It was hugely valuable for us.
Fantastic. I have to say, I'm laughing when you mentioned airline miles, because in my experience, there's nothing worse than trying to fly from small airport to small airport in opposite sides of the country, right? So the only time that I have had to take 2 connections domestically was Columbus, Ohio to Reno.
Okay.
So you being in Reno, going to Des Moines, I'm sure that is just like that is not
yeah,
easy.
I'm glad you said Reno. Yeah, we like to joke that the Reno airport is fantastic unless you want to go somewhere.
So basically, if you want to go to LA or Las Vegas, it's probably fine.
LA, Vegas, Denver. It's pretty good to get to Denver. Like that's about it.
so yeah, Des Moines, Iowa, or Hartford, Connecticut, which is also a smaller far away. Those are awful for you. One question I always ask that I forgot to ask a little earlier. So for the brokers, what is the revenue model look like? What's the pricing like for the brokers? Is it per seat? Is how much of a commitment is it?
So it's per agency. We try to keep it really, really simple, and we try to make it, something where brokers want to use it, right? Like we very much built this tool for brokers, and so the pricing model is frankly, it's pretty cost effective if you're it's essentially based on the size of your agency, so it ranges anywhere from a couple $100 a month to $1,000 kind of on the higher end, right? Like if some of these bigger brokers, and it's kind of based on flow, but mostly based on the agency size, but it's not per seat. Nothing like that. I mean, the idea is we work with our carrier partners on our platform. And so we have a financial model with them in terms of kind of a revenue share. And then we charge the agencies and the brokers a little bit to kind of access the market. And so because of that model, we don't have to charge either side that much because we can essentially make it up kind of in the middle, right? And so, I think we're pretty proud of the business model we have. We're not trying to bankrupt anybody. We're not trying to be greedy with any of this stuff. We think, frankly, to your point, right, small commercial is not very profitable for the agency. And if we're going to charge them $20,000 a month, it's still not profitable, right? And so, we want to be able to solve that problem without creating new problems, essentially.
Okay, so it's very much priced with brokers in mind.
Definitely.
Fantastic. And any great customer stories, and you don't have to share the name of the customer if you don't want to. You can if you want to. I have no rule against it. But any great customer success stories?
Yeah, I mean, and what's cool about our platform is we have different kind of levels of customers, right? I mean, so we're working with some of the insurance companies themselves, and I'll leave their names out of it. But working with one in particular who's been a fantastic partner for us, where essentially they're working to get deeper into like payroll programs, right? So like kind of non-traditional insurance distribution, but having insurance operations, right? But not kind of IAs like you would expect. And so they're using our white label solution to actually give these 2 payroll partners, kind of large, medium, small payroll partners all over the country that actually can distribute their own product to their distribution channel, like through our white label, which is fantastic. And so we can kind of handle that for them. They can spin that up very quickly because of kind of the templated customization that the Wheelhouse platform has in it. They can stand up a new partner in 10 minutes, right? They meet with Tony's payroll company, and I can have you a website up and running so that your customers, you essentially can do a very light version of an embedded insurance product, in a matter of 10, 15 minutes, right? And so I think that's really appealing on that end. And then we've got, wholesale brokers that essentially have taken our platform and use it as an intake form, right? Like, so instead of them, spending millions of dollars to build an application intake form, they're replacing so sometimes we replace a fax machine, right? So now, you're not faxing in apps, you're not emailing in an Accord. They're directing all of their agents to actually use the Wheelhouse platform, all branded to them, but use the Wheelhouse platform to actually enter applications that way. And so I think on the efficiency side, we're seeing a ton of, kind of pick up from these people who are processing thousands of applications a month, where our tool can come in there and really save, 50, 60% of the time per application. And when you have those kind of numbers, obviously that adds up in a hurry. So.
Okay, fantastic. When this goes live, I'll tag you on LinkedIn, and I'll include the website. So for either brokers or carriers that are interested, is there a book a demo, or should they add you on LinkedIn and message you, or what's kind of the best way to start the conversation?
Yeah, you can definitely track me down. I'm an industry guy, and so I love talking with industry guys and people. I shouldn't say guys. There are a few women in insurance. All right,
we're working on improving
that.
Yes,
we're working on it. And as are we, right? I mean, I think it's important. The diversity in the insurance could go a long way, which was not the point of this conversation, but maybe the next one, right? But anyway, yeah, I mean, definitely reach out to me, or hit our website. And especially on the agency side, I mean, we can put together a live demo, in the next day or so. I mean, we can turn that pretty quickly. We've got territory managers that handle individual states. And so would love to talk to agencies and carriers, especially on the carrier side. We definitely love to talk with them directly. I think there's a lot of things that our tools can do to help carriers as they're kind of going down their digital distribution journey, as I've been calling it recently. And I think there's, a lot of learnings that we've done over the years. We've helped carriers build their APIs. We've essentially acted as consultants as they're going through that process. And so I think there's a lot of learnings that can be shared, and I think it's to the benefit of everybody, frankly. So
I think on the carrier side, the timing it looks to me fantastic, right? They're starting to reach maturity or something close to maturity with their policy management, claims, billing, right?
Yep.
Like the installation of Guidewire and Duck Creek, which has taken years at many carriers, is kind of finally getting to the final stages, and now they can really focus on okay, so the distribution piece. How do we fully...
I mean, at the end of the day, that's, well, I don't know if it's the most, but it's one of the most important pieces, right? Like, I mean, if you're not distributing, you're not doing anything. And so I think,
yeah,
I totally agree. I mean, kind of as the carriers have matured, I mean, we've been at this, unofficially, for 5 years or so. And so, 5 years ago, the conversations we had, were very different than the ones we're having today, right? Like, we were still convincing carriers that, the internet wasn't a fad, right?
We're recording in 2021, so in 2016, here's...
Oh no, exactly, right? Like,
no, we're recording in 2022, so in 2017.
Like, what year is it? But anyway, I mean, some of the early conversations we had, and I'll tell this quick story. One of our early partnerships, we had pitched them this idea. We had gone on. They were hesitant to do it, and they finally get to a point like, okay, we think we know what you're doing, and we're going to send you some contracts. Let's sign it and let's keep this going. I'm like, great, this is awesome. So they send over the contracts. I fill them all out. I mail them back, and he calls me and he goes, hey, we couldn't process your application because you left a couple of these fields blank. And I was like, oh, well, which ones did I leave blank? It was unintentional, I'm sure. He said, your fax number. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, you didn't understand anything that we're doing. Like, give me back the contract. Like, if you're asking for a fax, like, you clearly didn't understand any of this. And so I was like, we're going back to the drawing board, right? And so, but I mean, that's the kind of things we were dealing with, to your point, like in 2015 and 2016. And it's funny to laugh about. And but the market has matured. People used to say insurance was like 10, 20 years behind, right? Like, I think now, after the last 5 years, I think now we're 5 years behind. And so I think we're still behind, fintech and other industries, that parallel industries, but we're closing that gap quickly.
That is fantastic.
So
that is absolutely fantastic. Adam, thank you so much for your time. Look forward to seeing you guys at InsurTech Connect this year. I'll be at InsurTech Hartford, but that's like 3 connections for you. So I'm assuming that you're not there.
We're tentative on that one. We haven't fully committed. Still looking at options there. So
it does look like a great conference, but
definitely does.
Both cities are painful to fly into, so I can only imagine flying from one to the other.
May take a who knows.
But thank you so much for joining me today.
Definitely. Thank you, Tony.